PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to PLD Projects. Welcome back to Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast, our weekly podcast here on PLD Projects with myself, my compatriot, Matty Gunner. And this has been quite a week for PLD Projects and scheduling and life and all that stuff. I got no 2 meter for White Tuesday this week. I have no review coming out this week. They're both going to try to come out next week. But what is happening is I do have my friend, my compatriot, Matty Gunner is here. We are getting our Bad Batch and other talk in here on Holy Snokes. Matty, how are you?
I'm doing good, mate. Life has been, for the both of us, I feel we're kind of in that period of shit is happening for the both of us, and this is kind of our escape. First off, it hasn't hit 1:30 yet, so hit that like button, hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell. We're 1:30 in, so I think we covered that. Just you didn't, so I was looking at the timer. I was like, apparently you have to say it within a minute 30. So fuck it, just say it.
Good for you.
Yeah,
somebody knows that.
Yeah, things are going good. Other than my life essentially being the plot of Roadhouse right now, the good one, not the terrible one where Conor McGregor essentially plays himself. New song coming out. You haven't watched that one?
I haven't watched the new one yet.
Oh my god! Here's the thing: I love watching. I watched Dan Mo's review,
right?
And I watched a couple of others. What people don't seem to realize about Conor McGregor's character in that movie, he's playing himself. That is no act. I have been around the man on numerous occasions. He does not have an acting bone in his body.
Fair enough.
They wrote his character around him.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
I mean, The
Rock to play Conor McGregor.
The Rock has made an entire career of it, essentially.
Absolutely. Hell, but Bruce Willis before him, to be honest with you.
Bruce Willis has made exactly there. It is doable, but there is even like moments where there were bits in the news, like apparently Conor crashed a car in Ibiza one night when he was out partying, and there's a scene in the movie where he steals a taxi and crashes it into a palm tree. And I was just sitting there watching, like, Doug Liman did his homework on this guy. he really wrote Conor in. And apparently, like, Conor was like late to set all the time, which tracks because I've been to press events, like press conferences, and he's been like an hour to an hour and a half late. So the dude was essentially being himself. But we're not here talking about Roadhouse. No. We're here to talk about Star Wars. We are here to talk about Star Wars. And
we're just a little
maybe Swayze will come up one day.
Swayze could come up someday. Maybe Jake Gyllenhaal will come up as well, because I love Jake Gyllenhaal and I'd love to see him in Star Wars universe. You know what? Let's get into that really quickly. We do on this channel, we have a main topic every week. This week, of course, is Bad Batch, episode 12 of season 3. We have a lot of other stuff we talk about as well, because we always start off with our news.
Bitch.
Our Juggernaut, sorry, was I watching X-Men or 97 or was I watching Star Wars? I didn't know.
Okay, quick tangent. How fucking good is that show?
I haven't watched the last 2 episodes yet, but I do love it quite a bit. I love the first 3 episodes. I'm trying to get my son and my wife together to watch the other 2 because we're watching it together. So I missed the last 2 episodes, but I've heard great things, and it is very, very cool.
I'm like a child again watching it, dude. It really is like watching the old school cartoon from back in the day. Even like they've made the intro better. And what I love about it is if they like brought that show out today, like now we know what to expect of it.
Right.
They fit like so many plot devices.
Right.
It's like story arcs into one 30-minute episode.
It's impressive how much they get done. Absolutely is.
I saw Molly Damon talking about how that if this was done now, everyone would be like, what's the direction of the show gonna be? I was fucking cracking up because I was like, how true that is.
It's very true. Absolutely very true. We stand Molly Damon here in Holy Snokes. But getting back to Star Wars, what we do on this show, like I said, with main topic, we have news bits beforehand that we talk about. But I'm actually going to throw an audible because we decided, or at least I decided, and Maddie agreed with, that we were done running these stories of X actor proclaims he wants to be in Star Wars. Basically, where somebody asks him a question, what they think about Star Wars, would they ever like to be in Star Wars? And of course, the answer is, well, duh, yeah, and it gets run as news. It's not news. Everybody loves it. And we were guilty of it too. I throw it in there, we talk about it, but it got so much like, okay, great. So and so said that. Of course they do. Great. I'd love them. I wouldn't love them. Let's go on. We decided to stop that nonsense, generally speaking.
I propose it to you because it seemed like you genuinely loved it, because you genuinely love to speculate and like let your mind wander and wonder who these people could play and what their characters could be. I didn't want to take that away from you. I truly did. I wanted to like go into it as much as I could, but there is a certain level of cynic in me that is just like,
why?
Yeah.
I mean, if they had, like we said, if it gets to the point where they're linked to a show, possibly, then I will talk about it, because that's a different story. But as far as just wanting to be in there, I'm done. Except for we decided to make one last exception because of you. You wanted to talk about something. This is actually an audible. I didn't have this plan, but Maddie, the floor is yours, my friend.
Some news came out, and it's not even news. I don't know the gentleman's name. He was on the red carpet of Shogun, which, by the way, possibly my favorite show of the year. It's essentially like The Last Samurai, but over a series, and it's incredible. It's my favorite show of the year. Of course, Hiroyuki Sanada is amazing in everything he does. And someone said to him, I believe the exact quote was, "You could essentially do anything right now. Marvel, Star Wars, which one would you want?" And Hiroyuki was just like, "Oh, I want all of them, especially Star Wars. I'm a big fan of Star Wars." This started shooting around the internet. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, Hiroyuki Sanada in Star Wars. That would be amazing." I am a huge Hiroyuki Sanada fan.
I am too.
I love all of his work. I do not want to see him in Star Wars.
That you told me before you're going to have a hot take that people did not expect from you. Explain yourself, Matty Gunner. Explain yourself, because quite frankly, I want to see him in Star Wars. I'd love to see him in Star Wars, but tell me why I shouldn't.
Donnie Yen was essentially typecast. As great of a character as Chirrut Imwe is, it's incredible of a character. I love Chirrut Imwe as a character. I love Donnie Yen as an actor. I do not want the same thing to happen to another iconic actor like Hiroyuki Sanada, because you know exactly what he would be typecast as. He would be typecast as either a Jedi Master or some like warlord of some planet, like the planet in The Mandalorian where we first meet Morgan Elsbeth. Right. It kind of looks like a feudal Japan kind of planet. I feel like they would immediately typecast him as that kind of a role, or like a Jedi, like a wise Jedi Master. Maybe they put him in like the Acolyte season 2, and they would have him as someone who's on the council.
Right.
He can play those roles so well, but as someone like me who is like, I've seen the breadth of his career, he could do so much more. And it's just like the easy thing to do, to throw him into Star Wars as like a warlord of some faraway outer rim planet that looks like feudal Japan, or have him as the wise old master that gives the lesson to the youngling, and then he has a really cool scene that shows, hey, this old man really can fight. I'm like, I want something more from him.
Okay. I get that. But no, fuck off. I want him as a Jedi Master. I'm not gonna lie. I maybe it might be typecasting, and I apologize for that, but like, he is like one of the ultimate guys for Jedi Master for me. I think that just makes so much sense. Okay. I'd love to see him in like the older man. Like you said, I'd like to see him like maybe in the Acolyte season 2 where he has to face a Sith type Lord or whatever. He comes and doesn't maybe he dies, sacrifices himself for his Padawans or something. I don't know what it is necessarily, but I would love to see him in a Jedi Master role. He would be the ultimate. I think that's why he wants to do it. He wants to be a Jedi. Everybody wants to be a Jedi. You could be a Jedi. He could be a Jedi. I think so. I think he wants to be a Jedi.
I could see him as like some kind of a crime boss.
I mean, he could absolutely
like
do
a
that too.
grizzled old crime boss in the underworld that because he has this aura of respect about him.
Right.
Like you see him when he does interviews and stuff. He's so like soft spoken, and the way he talks, it's almost like I was actually talking about this with Auden Diaz. It's like he has one of these voices where he's so well spoken and so soft spoken. It's almost like a power play, an unintentional power play. You have to lean in a little bit to like really listen to what he's saying, and he knows it. He's making you pay extra attention to what he's saying. Like having that kind of aura and presence of how like a well-respected like gang or even like a political leader.
Oh yeah, he could do it all. Absolutely. And if he did that, I would be 100% behind him. I still want
you want him to be the wise old samurai.
I do. I can't help it. It tickles the itch I have for him in there. I mean, as long as I don't want him to do it if he doesn't want to do it. If he didn't want it, if he wants to break out, but he would do it in a heartbeat. I think he'd do a lot. Let me put it this way to you. I want to do it. I want him to be a Jedi for his sake. Because here I can tell you this without even knowing the guy, but like knowing like the interviews I've seen from him. If you told him, Harry, you're going to be in Star Wars, and you're not getting a lightsaber, he'd be like, "Fuck off."
I don't know if want the Jedi. Fuck off, but he would certainly be disappointed. I feel he'd just be like,
fuck off in his own mind. He'd be like,
in his head, he'd be like.
So that's why for his sake.
I wanted the lightsaber shaped like a katana, you motherfucker.
Exactly. That's what I think. But I get what you're saying. I would like to see him in more too. I'd like to see him doing other things as well. But for example, for me, if you're going to get him in Star Wars, do it right. I think create a show for him to do other things like that. Absolutely. I mean, I loved him in Westworld, which was more of that kind of similar things for a bit. I loved him doing Westworld.
Right.
So
if you're going to do it, if you're going to have him as a samurai, bring him in as the Ronin from Visions.
That absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. I'm all for that. So it is what it is. We know what it is. I agree. I try to respectfully agree while also saying fuck off.
Respectfully, fuck you.
Respectfully, fuck you. Anyway, but that would be our last, I think. He wants to be in Star Wars unless Ed Harris ever gets asked the question.
Or Tom Cruise.
Or maybe Tom Cruise. By the way,
because I can't have Heath Ledger in Star Wars, so I've got to go to my number 2.
Absolutely. And fucking Ed Harris would be an awesome. We already talked about this, but Imperial, First Order, like, or even putting him in
Crime Boss.
The Crime Boss, or as a Mandalorian, older as a Mandalorian, he'd be good at. He actually, like I said, Cal Scarata from the EU was based on him, so it makes sense.
Was he really?
He really was. I never showed you that picture. I think I have that picture somewhere, but
I think. Oh yeah, you have. Yeah, you have showed me that. Yeah,
that was the design. It was used him. So I mean, that makes sense. I would have read those books a lot differently after I knew that. So, all right.
Pages stuck together.
Let's get to. I clean the head. Let's get to the rest of the news. Now. We do have a bunch of news to get through. We do have some Acolyte news, but I know everybody here is following
We screened this.
We're following everybody here. All our listeners are following the hashtag Keep Maddie Blind. Make Maddie into Sheridan Way until June 6th.
Make Maddie blind.
Make Maddie blind. But I did I screened it. Kind of test in the ground. I think this is all news that we can talk about. It's not story related, but it's a lot of little nitpicks, a lot of little bits and pieces that
we said we do a weekly update, so I'll just give my quick weekly update. Still, nothing has slipped through the cracks yet.
I'm happy to see that. The Star Wars News that had a bunch of little articles. There was a lot of articles going on where they're starting. Obviously, the publicity push is happening, getting more interviews and things. So I just put together a collective of quotes that I found interesting or worth discussing. So the first one was from Leslie Headland, and she defined what people should expect for as the Acolyte, as the titular character, what that is. And she states, it's a position, essentially, that someone is going to fulfill or step into. We know with the Sith that there's a master. We know that there's an apprentice. But in deep EU, expanded universe, there's a concept of an Acolyte, which is underneath apprentice. So that is where I got the title from. Makes sense to me. The fact she's pulling stuff from the EU, I do like it. I do like this. I got to say, we've had this discussion before about the expanded universe. And it seems to be this weird, like, absolute, you're with me, you're against me. If you hate Disney Star Wars, you love the expanded universe. And if you love Disney Star Wars, you don't want almost anything to do with the expanded universe. I am one of those rare people. I love both the EU and I love Disney Star Wars. So I think that we should be open to a lot of the expanded. I like the fact that she's looking at the expanded universe because there's so much great that is an expanded universe. Yes, there's a lot of crap as well. I'm not going to lie and say it's all amazing, but there's some cool stuff too. So if you can like cherry pick some things and bring forward some of the cool stuff, I am all for it, and I am all for it. So I'm glad that she has that background. She has that, like she's keeping that knowledge. This makes sense. This is exactly what I thought the Acolyte was, but I'm glad to have it confirmed that it is what we think it is. That makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it does make sense because for those of you who don't know, this is where my expertise of the lore comes through. Is the final trial of the Acolyte is to kill a Jedi. You become an Acolyte and then you kill a Jedi. You become the apprentice. You kill, and then the final test is to kill your master, and then you become the Sith Lord.
Right.
It makes sense for the show to be around an Acolyte because at the time we don't know other than maybe Tenebrous. I see all the names floated around. I don't particularly care who the master is at this point.
Right. I don't either.
To have a young, hungry Sith Acolyte chasing down all these Jedi who are essentially blind to the existence of the Sith, in the existence of the dark side. That's super intriguing to me because they are going to be like, what the hell is that?
Right. Absolutely. And I like the idea. We have this whole thing where the idea is it's a little bit of a whodunit. They talked about that a long time ago when they first announced the title itself. So we don't know necessarily who the Acolyte is or who it's going to be.
I mean, Maul was an Acolyte until Shadowhunter. Shadowhunter was it, and that's an EU. That is my favorite EU book is Dark Maul Shadowhunter, where we see Maul go to Coruscant to retrieve a Sith holocron that has been stolen, and he has to kill. Sorry.
From Lorne Pavan.
From Lorne Pavan, yeah. And he has to, kill a Jedi.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for a book that's how many years old?
Interestingly enough, just to throw it out there, in my Legends reread, I'm on The Last Jedi, not The Last Jedi Episode 8, but The Last Jedi, which is story number 4, book number 4 in the Jax Pavan storyline that takes place. The son of Lorne. They're dealing with that. So it's interesting. It's interesting timing. Okay. So yeah, there's that. The next thing I want to talk about, Carrie Ann Moss was interviewed, and a couple of cool quotes from her. Obviously, Leslie Headland came out and basically said that she couldn't think of anybody she'd want to play a Jedi and do action than Trinity. Basically, having Trinity come and do some force fu fighting, so to speak, that was one of the people she wanted to do.
For fuck's sake,
that's gonna happen. It's kung fu, force fu. That's gonna happen.
Did you coin that term, or did you steal
I did not.
that?
I wish I did. I did. I would gladly take it. I don't remember where I saw it first. I think Leslie Headland actually said it at one point.
Jesus Christ.
But Carrie Ann Moss discussed it and was excited about it. And she stated about the Jedi part. She said, within my soul and spirit, to get to play this Jedi Master and train for the fight was an amazing experience. A part of me forgot how much I love action. I love it. It's hard, but I was just really thrilled that I could do it, and I wanted to do it well. Give me another take. Give me another take, she would say on set all the time. So I don't know. I think about you. You saw the trailer Celebration, which did have the little beginnings of this fight with Carrie Ann Moss, and I think we both had the same kind of feeling like, nice Trinity in Star Wars. That's pretty cool. Kind of feel.
That's exactly what I saw. I was like, oh, this is just Trinity with a lightsaber, but she's not using the lightsaber from the trailer that I saw anyway. But it's like, yeah, we're getting Carrie Ann Moss,
right?
As essentially as like we talked about with Hiroyuki Sanada, like she is typecast as the role that she is great as.
Yes,
but we're just airdropping her into Star Wars.
Yeah, and but not only that, though, she's done different roles also. She's done a lot of things. So getting her to come back for this is actually kind of cool. I mean, she did do some action, obviously, Matrix Resurrections, and who knows? I guess they're making Matrix 5 now. I don't know if she's going to be involved in that or not.
Let's avoid that with
yeah. I love Matrix Resurrections. I'm not going to lie. I love Resurrections. I don't know. I can't remember what your thoughts were around it. You didn't like it.
I didn't mind it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I didn't like it. It was okay. I will watch it if it's on by chance. Like if I'm like flicking through the TV, I'm not gonna go to Amazon Prime and be like, you know what, I'm gonna watch Matrix. I thought Neil Patrick Harris was awesome, but
Mr. Jonathan Groff was also awesome. I thought.
Okay, yeah.
I love 10 minutes.
But I was more into why the Matrix Resurrections got made. It was Wachowski's going
right, which is why I do think it's a little weird that they're going to do a fifth one now. But
maybe they have maybe it's in the contract that they
it
have
might
to.
be.
I mean,
Drew Goddard is a great. I look forward to it only because I know Drew Goddard.
Is that who's directing it?
Yeah, he's writing it and directing it. With Lana is going to be EP executive producing it. So I'm
I saw our good friend PJ Campbell excited for
it. That's true.
I'm going to channel my inner PJ Campbell and have a level of optimism for it, because I don't like going into things with a predetermined disposition that I'm going to hate something. It's a Matrix movie at the end of the day, and it's not gonna be the Matrix.
Right.
That is never gonna happen again. But do you know how many Once Upon a Time in China's there are?
Mm-hmm.
And I watched every single one of them.
Yeah. I'm all good too. I am not as like over the moon about it either. I'm kind of like more like, oh, that's interesting. It's a little strange, but there's enough talent involved. I'm like, okay, well, I'll let them cook. Let's see what happens. Getting back to Carrie-Anne Moss and the Acolyte, she also went on to say she compared Hedlund's vision for the Acolyte as similar to Christopher Nolan and the Wachowskis' respective visions for Memento and The Matrix. Whether that proves to be prophetic or not, we'll have to wait and see. Just to compare that vision piece, because Christopher Nolan Memento has a very strong vision. Wachowski's, like it or not, has a very strong vision for the Matrix. Entire saga. I know Matrix is well loved. Sometimes the sequels are not as well loved, but they still, like them or not, there's a very strong vision for them. I like that idea. I like hearing that. That makes me think that it breaks out the cookie cutter. Or a little bit if someone has that kind of strong vision. That reminds me of like a Tony Gilroy and Andor. That's what it kind of feels like. So hopefully it's something like that without being like Andor, but it's like having that strong, unique vision towards it. I'm excited by that. What about you?
I just wish she had she should have mentioned any other Christopher Nolan film. I do not like Memento.
Oh, okay.
And here's the reason why. When I was in college, the 2 years that I studied film studies, in the second year, we had to use Memento as we had to do an essay on Memento on how like movies that are shot and like the story is played out of order. And I wasn't quite used to movies like that at the time.
Gotcha.
So I was very much like, what the fuck is this movie? Why is he telling it backward? This was like, I didn't know that Nolan was the time
guy,
wibbly wobbly timey-wimey guy.
For Nolan is Doctor Who.
I mean, he's apparently in the running for Bond, so we may as well throw him in the running to do Doctor Who as well.
Every British saga is all about Christopher Nolan now.
Yeah, anything British just to have. That's probably what's gonna happen. Is like anything British is just gonna be like, yeah, Nolan do it. But yeah, cool. She's got a vision. She's got something planned out, which I don't mean that as in she's got a plan. They didn't have a plan for the sequels. Fuck off with all that shit. That's not what I'm saying.
It's not even a story plan. It's just
she has a vision for what she wants to portray, and she's gone for it. Like Tony Gilroy. You mentioned Tony Gilroy. The great Tony Gilroy. Look how much we love Andor.
Mm-hmm. And just to bring up what you said about Memento, like liking or not liking Memento, totally get it. That's your miles may vary, but you can't argue that there was a very strong vision that he had in place for it. So
he was ahead of his time with it.
Absolutely. So I mean, it might be that people don't like the Acolyte because of the strong vision, but I'd rather take a swing on a strong vision than go for a kind of too much of a.
I think people are more inclined to do that now, because if you look at like, and I'm not shitting on the Marvel movies or anything. Look at all like the big blockbuster movies that we've had over the last couple of years. Oppenheimer, Barbie, Dune. Like these are all big scope, big scale, big vision productions. I can argue Dune is probably the biggest of all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it will go over better than a lot of people are saying and expecting. It's just the grifters and the bots online that are going to be shitting on it, and we got to sift through that noise, because I was listening to shout out to the Kojima Frequency podcast. They were talking about the other day about Metal Gear Solid 5, which is a game that apparently the fandom seems to hate. It's like the Rise of Skywalker of Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay.
And the guest on the show was like, she was like, oh, but those people never leave the house anyway, so who gives a fuck what they think? And I was just like,
there you go.
That is how I am approaching Star Wars from now on. Those people online, the Red Eyes, they never leave the house.
Right. That's funny. Okay, a couple more quick bites from the Acolyte. One I forgot to mention to you is our screening, but I know it's safe. Vernestra Rowe being played by Leslie Headland's wife. They mentioned her character, and they said it was kind of interesting. It's very interesting to see how she's changed, because like in the High Republic, she was young, spunky, fiery Padawan. Now, many years later, she's just older, been through a lot older, a lot like a lot of shit. So it's just interesting. It is interesting to compare the two to where they are the same character. It's gonna be interesting to see how they do differ. And it might be cool to see how they might get more in between eventually of Vanessa, if they can get her like in the middle between, getting to see the actual development. So that was kind of cool. Finally, Jonas Suetano. I always have a hard time saying it, but I say it. Playing
Jonas Suetano. I think it's Suetano.
Suetano. Jonas. All right, Jonas.
It's called Jonas. The Jonas brothers.
Jonas brothers. He is playing Kelnaka, a Wookiee Jedi. I have to say, I initially, when I heard that, I wasn't I wasn't excited, but it's kind of like, well, here's a guy playing Chewbacca. You're having him play another Wookiee, just a Jedi. But it seems like it's almost like you're gonna ask Harrison Ford to play a scoundrel. Like it's not Han's. Like it felt a little weird to me.
I get what you're saying, right? And this is where I'm going to use your own logic against you. I have seen Jonas in person. Like he walked as I was leaving the XL Center last year. He walked past me with a bunch of people dressed as Wookiees walking behind him. There are very few people in the world that tall.
Yeah, that's true.
There are very few people in the world that tall.
And you know what? It's not that I want to take Jonas out of because I think Jonas is one of the best ambassadors for Star Wars we have right now. He is just phenomenal with the fans, with the film and everything else. And so it was my own. I have to get there. And I think I already started getting there. I've seen a picture of him. He had a couple quotes here. He said, Kelnaka being a Jedi, that's certain expectations to how you carry yourself in the line of duty. There are certain assumptions that can be made as to whether he lets his emotions take control of him to the extent that Chewbacca would, for example. It was very interesting to bake that into the character and try to personify that on screen. And furthermore, he mentioned, of course, one of the other famous Jedis, Wookiee Jedi, Buryaga from High Republic. He mentioned I was aware of the character, and I talked to High Republic writers at a convention. I also wanted to differentiate Kelnaka from Buryaga and not copy too much from those stories. I think it's good. I think you need to make these, if you're going to have the same actor play an alien creature that looks the same as the other ones do in a way, even if you change up the fur, change up different things, there's some differences. You have to make sure the characters are definitively different. You can't watch the episode and go,
just typecast him or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't. I don't want to go at the end of the episode and go, okay, so that basically is Chewbacca. I want to make it different, like really different to play and go, okay, I don't see Chewbacca. I see Kelnaka. So that's what I'm hoping for. And I'm really hoping for it, to be honest. I think he can. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I think he can because I've never seen him play anything else besides Chewbacca. So it's hard to know what he can. I hope he can, though, because I really am rooting for him and I really like him. I'm happy he got the part. I'm hoping because anybody having him as continuing the brand is always a good thing. So hopefully that'll
I will tell you, when I was queuing up to meet Mads Mikkelsen at Celebration, who stroked my leather jacket and told me I had a nice jacket.
You told me that a few times, yes.
The line for Jonas, and I was very surprised at this, was considerably longer than the line for Mads Mikkelsen.
Right.
And I was looking at that like, what you have one of the coolest, most handsome motherfuckers on the face of the planet. And Jonas's line is like out the door.
You know, Jonas is affable and approachable, man. That's what it is. He feels like he's one of those guys.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if you approach Mads, like you would be a bit like, is he going to sock me in the mouth for saying hello?
Absolutely. That's not anything against match. It's just different kind of. It's just different
Yeah,
styles.
different kind of energy. I mean, they're
Absolutely.
both European, but
Right.
like they're different kind of auras about them. Mads is like old school, like Fonz, cool, whereas
Right.
Jonas is like, give me a hug.
Nice.
I'm a big giant man. Give me a hug.
um. Okay, so let's move on then. Yeah, let's move on from the Acolyte, where you're safe, Maddie. You're secure. You're still
We're
blinded
safe.
enough. A couple of small pieces of news, and then we have some trailers to talk about. First off, Mandalorian and Grogu have confirmed a date. It is officially going to be released as of now. I mean, dates do change, so it's
Yep, I was
that.
gonna say, make sure you add that
Dates do
caveat.
change. Dates do change, but confirmed by Disney. It's officially targeting a May 22nd, 2026 release date.
Cool. We know what we're talking about that week.
We do. We have our set up for that for sure.
We got our episode for that week.
That's funny. We don't have it. Because we all started this so much later on, that we actually never had a film come out while we had a podcast. So that's gonna be probably a couple of weeks. Maybe we might do 2 or 3 weeks on that potentially. But yeah, it was presenting. It was made in anticipation of CinemaCon panel, which is in Vegas today, presenting its future slate. And that's what it is.
It's in Vegas today.
Yes.
Holy shit! I wonder how many people going there, because UFC 300's in Vegas this week.
It's going to be a big time there. I know Mark Ellis was there. He produced PBS or something.
Vegas.
But yeah, so at this point, it's going to be scheduled around. Of course, things are, still in flux. It's got the other Star Wars movie is still in the 2026 realm in December. We have the Moana remake July 10th. Toy Story June 19th, and right now they still have the Avengers installment of May 1st. I'm hoping that changes, to be honest with you, because I don't like the idea of having.
I think with all the shit with Jonathan Majors, I think they've got no choice really. I think they've got to.
I hope so too.
They've got to like rejiggle some things and work out what they're gonna do. It would be the smart play, but Bob Iger is proven to not be the smartest of people over the last couple of years.
So that's it. That's it for that Mandalorian. So just good to know. I mean, it's not everything we thought it would be. We've been claiming that's gonna be the first. It's gonna be the first one out of the gate. That was always the first one that was out of the gate. So just good to confirm it.
You're still holding out for your 2027 movie
for the Vandal for the Filoni. I'm also hoping that'd be great. 50th anniversary. That'd be phenomenal. All right. Next up, we got Beau Willimon joining Dawn of the Jedi. The James Mangold piece, which is going to be starting soon. I know James Mangold is finishing up a few other pieces of work. I don't know the exact movie he's got going on right now, but he is supposed to be going to be pushing on. We don't have a date for this at all, but interestingly enough, Mangold has stated he did a 6-month strike, pumped the brake on his plans with a Bob Dylan biopic, which started Timothy Chalamet.
Is that the one with Jeremy Allen White?
I think so.
Playing Bob Dylan? I think he's playing.
Timothy Chalamet, I think, is playing Bob Dylan.
Oh,
I think that's what it is. Yes, it's called A Complete Unknown. It was pushed into market.
Timmy Showers is playing Bob Dylan?
Yeah, it says shooting the Bob Dylan biopic starring Timothy Chalamet, so I assume Timothy's playing Bob Dylan.
That's great casting.
I do too. I think it's great. I think it's
wonderful. Moving on to the Star Wars before I start fanning about Timmy Showers.
I said that's been shooting for over a month in New York now. Once it's done, he's going to turn his attention to Star Wars. So who knows that? It might be coming sooner or later. But the Hollywood Reporter did state that Beau Willimon was going to be joining James Mangold. He will co-write Dawn of the Jedi with James Mangold. Now, if you don't know who Beau Willimon is, it's the reason why we're excited about it is twofold. He co-created House of Cards with Fincher. And also, more importantly, to Star Wars, he got an Emmy nomination because he was the key cog in the 3-episode prison arc in Andor. He got an Emmy nomination for writing episode 10, which was the One Way Out episode, featuring, of course, the tragic I Can't Swim, as well as the iconic monologue from Luthen Rail.
Still, the most successful reel I have on Instagram to this day is me putting the I Can't Swim moment to Celine Dion's My Heart Will Go On.
It's a bit of a reeling for sure. He's also an Oscar nominated scribe for The Ides of March. So there we go. We got talent. Someone who knows Star Wars very well with Andor. And James Mangold himself is a talent. So I think this is nothing but good news. I think it's nothing but good news having him join out with James Mangold. Hopefully this sticks. Hopefully they work together well. He's already been through Lucasfilm a little bit, so he knows how that works. I think this is a match made in heaven, as far as I can know.
Bring in Timothy Chalamet, then you got the hat trick there, and then Timothy Chalamet has the crown of being in both Dune and Star Wars.
And, that would be good. I'd be okay with that. I mean, I'd love to see. I mean, you need all new people for that role. Who knows if he wants to do it? But I'm all for it myself. So small bit of news, but worth talking about for sure. All right. Next up, I'm going to leave this one to you. Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws. August 30th release date is confirmed, and they had a story trailer, which I did watch. I'll let you talk about it. I'll give my quick thoughts afterwards.
Yeah, so it was a cool trailer. It was a lot of story. It was a story trailer, so that we didn't see really a whole lot of gameplay. And the thing that you get with these gameplay trailers is it even says this is an in-engine video, not necessarily going to be game footage.
Right.
Which is fine. They're just laying out the lay of the land for what the story is going to be, which is essentially Grand Theft Auto meets Mass Effect in the Star Wars universe. You're going to be playing as this character, Kay, who is a smuggler, who is a criminal, working her way up through the criminal underworld in Star Wars. You're going to be able to play off different factions with each other. You can do jobs for Crimson Dawn. You can do jobs for the Pike Syndicate. You can do jobs for the Hutt Cartel. You have this reputation meter where you start to build your reputation in the galaxy. You set feuds. You have feuds. If I did a job for Crimson Dawn, like my reputation with the Hutts would probably go down, or my reputation with the Pikes would go down because there's beef between the two syndicates. I thought that was pretty cool. There's like a wanted level from Grand Theft Auto in there, which I thought was really cool. It looks fairly open world, which is why I compare it to Mass Effect, because you can travel from planet to planet, and
right.
Yeah, it looks really cool. One thing I am worried about though is with these AAA titles, with games like this, there's always something wrong on day one, because with AAA games, they're much like movies that they have stakeholders and they're put to release dates, and look at Cyberpunk was a perfect example of this massive game that was so huge at the time. Everyone was expecting it to be this massive hit. Launched it day one, nothing but bugs. Anyone could barely play it. I mean, we look at the Star Wars Battlefront re-release that's just come out. It's still having problems. So my only hesitation at the moment is the reception to how this game is going to be on day one, because they are going to be patching a lot. There's going to be a shitload of patches when this game comes out. So I'm probably going to wait a couple of weeks before I actually play it. I'll probably give a review on the channel when it's done. But with these big, massive open world games, I mean, I remember when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out when it first came out on the Xbox 360. They've been renting that game for the last 10 years. You couldn't play the online live for about a week because it just kept crashing because so many people wanted to play it.
Right.
So I'm more interested in that, seeing the gameplay footage and how that's gonna look on release.
Absolutely fair. We'll note Kira is confirmed to be a part of the storyline, which is very cool. Game more content there, though she's not being voiced by Emilia Clarke. But it does seem like it's definitely more of like, if you wanted that sequel to Solo, this would be along those lines, the same basic idea, though it's taking place during the rebellion, or I believe between Empire and Jedi, I believe.
You see a shot of Han in Carbonite.
Yeah, that's what. That threw me for a minute. Because I remember the first time I watched the trailer, I watched it twice myself, and I was like, for some reason I thought it was taking place during between 3 and 4. And I guess that's not actually a bad assumption, because that's where a lot of the Star Wars content takes place. But no,
you love that though. You've been asking for that for more content in the actual the rebellion.
I have done, yes. I will say I'm not a gamer, so it's always tough for me to get really excited about this, because I'm not going to play it. I mean, it is what it is, and I don't. I'll be honest with you. A lot of people are excited about it. If I going through online, going through our friends, they seem excited about it. I'm happy for them. To me, kind of like that. I was like, okay. It seemed like a generic storyline. Didn't really get a whole lot of individuality out of it. I felt like
it's Grand Theft Auto and Star Wars. That's all. That's literally what it is. It's Grand Theft Auto and Star Wars.
I mean, some of the characters look kind of cool. I'm glad to see Kira getting back. I mean, the
The
lead
Commando
character and
droid
her.
looks sweet. I see a lot of people already thirsting over that
Uh,
Commando droid.
and the main character, what Kay was it? Was it Kay?
Kay Vess, I think the
Kay
character's
Vess.
name is. Yeah.
And the little creature Nyx that's with her. That I like
Yeah.
Nyx. Nyx seems kind of cool and cute. But overall, hey, I'm not the target at this point, so I'm not going to play it.
No, you're more the type to go on YouTube and just watch the
Which is what I
supercuts of all the cutscenes.
probably will do that eventually. Like
I would love to see you
lore
do that
whore.
for Metal Gear Solid 4, where all the cutscenes are like an hour long.
Oh Jesus, my God! But yeah, it is what it is. I'm glad people are excited about it. We'll see when Maddie gets to play it and Maddie will review it on the channel. So, all right, our last news is a kind of big one. We had something drop out of nowhere, like an RK out of nowhere. Star Wars Tales.
I watched that, by the way. I did watch WrestleMania. We're not going to go into it, but I had a great time.
I'm glad you did. I did as well.
I had a great time.
The Star Wars Tales of the Empire trailer announcement and trailer just kind of dropped. Which is sometimes how it is in Star Wars. We're like, when are they going to do this? Oh, they're going to put the trailer here. I put the trailer here, and sometimes they just throw it out there. And it stated Star Wars Tales of the Empire is a 6-episode journey into the fearsome galactic empire through the eyes of two warriors on divergent paths set during different eras. After losing everything, young Morgan Elsbeth navigates the expanding Imperial world toward a path of vengeance, while former Jedi Barriss Offee does what she must do to survive a rapidly changing galaxy. The choices they make will define their destinies. You already saw a reaction to the trailer. I did a reaction to the trailer when it dropped. It's on the channel now. Go check it out. So since I already gave my initial reaction at the time, I want to talk to you, Maddie. What did you see from the trailer? And then we'll go back and forth from there.
I think it's great that we're going to see Barriss Offee finish her story for a start. I thought it was cool doing it. We knew shout out to the Star Wars Sessions boys. They got the scoop on this a few months back that there was going to be a new Tales of thing coming out, and we speculated about what it could be a little bit, but I wasn't expecting Barriss Offee and Morgan Elsbeth, so I thought that was pretty cool. Thrawn looked sick under the new Clone Wars animation. I thought, oh my God, he looks so cool. Another thing people are thirsting over was the Blue Man, the other member of the Blue Man group.
But Grievous looked great, I thought.
Grievous looked cool. The shot that I loved was Morgan with her two garden shears.
Right.
Her dark side garden shears just like hooking the lightsabers and just like the both of them looking each other in the eyes. Alex Damon says something really kind of prophetic that sorry. I want to get the enunciation in there because I don't want it to sound like I said pathetic. It's prophetic of it's really interesting to see Barriss in this position where she's becoming an inquisitor and she's essentially going around taking all these lives, doing all this damage to the galaxy, which is essentially what she rebelled against when she was going against the Jedi Order. So she is essentially, for all intents and purposes, become a hypocrite. She's become the very thing that she was fighting against. And I'm curious to see how that dynamic's going to play into it and if she's going to come face to face with Vader. Because we see Vader in the trailer. You know, she acknowledges her tribal chief of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's going to know if it's him. And if she does have a feeling, then how is that dynamic going to be between the two of them? Personally, I think she's going to try and stand up to Vader and she's just going to get cut down. And it's going to be a case of, you tried to cross me before, you still haven't learned. This time I'm going to put you down for good.
Right. That makes sense, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, to be completely honest. But going back to what Alex Damon said, I mean, she already started down that dark path, obviously. I mean, even though she was fighting against things, she still killed a lot of people setting up Ahsoka back in the day. So she'd already started down that path as far as that goes. So I'm interested to see, though, too, where that goes. She's obviously in prison still after Order 66. You got that clone line, and you'll just be glad you're not a Jedi anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like it says, like in the description, it says she's doing what she must do to survive a rapidly changing galaxy. But I am too very interested to see how that works. It's like after everybody's dead, she's like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I have the Jedi are dead. Great, that's what I wanted. The Jedi being dead. So how does she able to reconcile her doing evil deeds with like kind of like how Anakin did, as in like I'm taking control to make sure none of this shit happens again, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to say for sure. I will say I was much more excited for the Barris side than the Morgan Elsbeth side. I like Morgan Elsbeth as a character. I think it's great. I think it's a great choice to do Morgan Elsbeth because she's a character who definitely kind of needed some filling out. We only had her in the one Mandalorian episode, and then throughout Ahsoka, which we still didn't learn a whole lot about her. Not to be interesting. So getting to learn more of her backstory, I think, is a great choice. I'm interested to see what you think. As like it does, like this is Dave. This is more Dave saying, I believe, still Tales of the Empire. And here he is. He's not doing an Ahsoka story, but yet it's two characters who are very entwined with Ahsoka. It's a point actually that our friends, Ken Knapsack and Joseph Scrimshaw and the Force Center podcast, Jennifer Land as well. They were making the same kind of Jennifer Land wasn't there for the Tales of the Empire discussion. They made that point that it's still kind of a Ahsoka tangent. And it is an interesting idea is like, are they doing this for a reason? Are they doing this to set up season 2? And what you were saying about Barriss Offee being killed off by Vader, is that potentially the other possibility being she survives and this is a way to get her back? Maybe we see her.
We do see Marok.
In
So there's got to be a connection between the two somehow. My thing is, I am really interested in this because we know the story of Thrawn. Thrawn essentially made a deal with the devil to protect his people. It seems like Morgan Elsbeth has made a deal with the devil to avenge her people.
Yes.
So
that's what it seems like to me too.
It's the classic case of it's poetry, it rhymes. Of like now you have Thrawn, the shoe's on the other foot with Thrawn. Now he's the one being like, yeah, let me take you on. Let me use you to how I want for you to avenge you get something out of it. You get to avenge your people. You get to take up against Grievous, but let me play you like a pawn at the same time, which is essentially what Palpatine has been doing to him his whole career.
Yeah.
The one other point I do want to add before we move on, how great is it to hear Jason Isaacs' voice?
Oh, so happy to see it back. Oh, yes, the Grand Inquisitor. Oh, he's so good.
Because I was wondering if they were going to bring him back to do it, because obviously, he's been doing it so often. He's kind of one of those people that's like, do they bring him back or do they just bring him back someone that sounds like him? But they are bringing him back.
Yeah, I don't think he enjoyed himself. I don't think he's doing, like, I don't want to denigrate him and all. I don't think he's doing a whole lot of stuff as much recently. So I think
he's very pick and choosy about what he does.
Yeah,
I think he's at that point in his career now where he's a little bit older, but he's just like, I don't want to be spending weeks away from my family on movie sets doing Harry Potter 12.
So to do a voice that he's done before, he's like, I could do that better than there, because I think he enjoyed his time there for sure. I will bring up a couple other things as far as Morgan goes. Interestingly enough, one of the most interesting things to me about the Morgan side of things is that it looks like we're going to get a little bit of Son of Dathomir, the comic for Darth Maul, because it feels like that's Grievous. Just they're taking out the Night Sisters. I think that's where Morgan takes place potentially. So that's interesting to see. Do we see Maul? I don't know.
Don't do that.
I know.
Don't do that.
Just saying. Saying.
Don't. Keep your speculation responsible now.
Other interesting parts, we do get to see. We not only see Merrick, we also see the fourth sister from Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and we get to see the Inquisitor that Ahsoka beheaded in the previous Tales of the Jedi. That was so
the sixth.
I've never been good with the numbers. To be honest with you.
I don't know.
Yeah, but so that's interesting to me as well. One other thing I want to bring up also, though, is Barriss. We actually get to see some blood from Barriss. We don't see a lot of blood in Star Wars, especially animation.
Yes, she's sucked in the mouth by the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, and like this, but this is like a kid almost. I mean, not that she's a kid, but she's definitely a younger,
young woman.
And it's just like, okay, interesting. And of course, we get definitely the bit of Vader, and I think we'll only get a small bit of Vader, but it'll be enough.
So you need to
see. What?
It's all you need with Vader. You just need that little. Because I will say, and I completely agree with Ken about this. Of like when I saw that moment, I did have oh shit, Daddy's home.
Yeah. It feels like, and actually, this is actually something Ken said too, and I agree with them too. It kind of felt like the Emperor appearing in Bad Batch,
Yeah.
like just that reminder of, oh, yeah, that's the big boy. So treat him with reverence and respect. Or
And
else
just
you,
like even from Rise of the Red Blade,
right,
like knowing how Vader was with it, they were sent. They weren't even playthings to him. They were just like, all right, I don't give a shit about any of you. Do your
right.
work. I don't care.
Um, so what else from that trailer thing? I will say one thing that people seem confused about. I'm not sure why they seem confused. To me, it was pretty clear. Like they're like, okay, we got Tales of the Empire, Tales of the Jedi season 2 still coming because that's what was announced. And I think it's quite clear that this is Tales of the Jedi season 2 or
Gets
whatever.
tales of that. We're just getting we're just getting a bunch of anthology
I
series.
mean, we had the obviously the ending of the trailer had the Tales of the Jedi and burning into the Tales of the Empire moment there. So I gotta think I don't think there's a Tales of the Jedi season 2 coming at this point. I honestly think, to be completely honest, I would change the title for myself if this is just my own personal thing to Star Wars Tales, and then you could have every season be Tales of, because then you could kind of just keep it as a series instead of being like a Tales of Jedi here, Tales of the Empire here, Tales of do Star Wars Tales, and then you can tell any story you want, and you can if you want to connect it, that could be like the subtitle of the season, Star Wars Tales of the Empire. And we're going to get into that a lot more. We have some more ideas, but that's going to be in a couple of weeks.
Tales of the Jawas.
Tales
Tales
of the
of the
Jawas. We'll
Jawas.
talk about that.
Tales of the Jawas.
So I guess it's a question I do have for you now that we are getting this instead of we obviously we're told Tales of the Jedi season 2. Now we have Tales of the Empire. Are you in any way disappointed that did you want to see other Jedi stories being told instead of doing the Tales of the Empire?
No, I'm not disappointed at all. No, they've picked two great characters that people have been pining and moaning for. What happened to Barriss Offee for so long? Now we're getting it. You want to complain a bit because it's not what you wanted? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Just enjoy the storytelling.
Yeah. And that's what I'm down to too. Now, I will say I would love to have seen more Tales of the Jedi in terms of I think we could get into some things we haven't gone into, like a Luke and young Ben or High Republic.
Who's to say we don't know?
And we could, exactly that thing. So I'm happy
we could have it like fading from Tales of the Empire back into Tales of the Jedi.
We do anything we want. I hope this continues. I really hope that they're good enough, because I think it's a great way to have like an animated series. We could have 1.5 animated series per year, whatever animated series we're doing, and then 6 episodes short. We could always do this. We could do this continuously. Drop 6 shorts every year. 6 shorts and just doing different little bits and pieces.
Well,
all that kind of stuff. So I think we have a lot of different places we can go. And we're never going to, only going to do, if they're like the same, I assume it's the same thing. I think it's going to be 3 and 3. So get those all in days. Maybe we'll get some good stuff next time. Maybe we'll go to do some Jedi next time. Maybe we'll do something completely different. I'm here for it, though. Most interestingly, to me at this point, though, is that some people had been thinking about or discussing Asajj's Ventress story being a Tales of the Jedi story. Potentially, that's what they're going to do. Obviously not. So, this makes it more clear to me that is our next animated series. I could be wrong still. They could have surprised me and announced something later on. Maybe they could announce an Asajj mini. Who knows? But I kind of feel like it's more and more leaning toward we're getting an Asajj series next.
Yeah. Or we're getting a series where she is a main character. She is a protagonist and most likely a protagonist of some description. She may not be the main character. Like the Clone was essentially about Ahsoka, and Obi-Wan and Anakin were like the second tier down.
It could be a Path the Jedi story, a show, and she's there. Maybe that's where Clint Voss comes in. Maybe we get I'm blanking on her name, but Amita Vendra's character from Obi-Wan, maybe something like that. Maybe O'Shea Jackson's character from Obi-Wan as well, maybe like that. Just
Zach Braff's character.
Zach Braff's character. Hopefully not. I don't need him anymore. I like Zach Braff, just not absolutely that particular character.
I was going to say, what's your beef with Zach Braff?
No beef with Zach Braff. So that's what I'm thinking as well. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah,
I imagine we'll get like a Tales of the Scoundrels next. That seems like something that they would do next.
I think it'd be Tales of the Bounty Hunters, maybe, or maybe Tales of the Scoundrels. Could be Tales of Underworld. There's a lot of different things we can.
I know Brian watched hoping beyond hope for Tales of the Diner, and I'm kind of with him on that.
tells of the restaurateurs of the war and Mascanada, maybe his club. I don't know. We could get also a lot of things like Tales of the Rebellion, Tales of the Resistance, Tales of the High Republic,
Tales of Rogue Squadron.
Tales of Rogue Squadron.
I love that's a dicey one. Let's skate around that.
Tales of the Dawn of the Jedi. You go back in that era. Tales of the Old Republic.
Tales of the Jawas.
There you go. All right. I know you have
all I want.
Your one track.
I don't care about any other one. Just give me. You can say it all in Utinis.
Okay. So, just a quick prediction there. So, you think Barriss is going to die at the end? This is the end of her story. This is the end of her story. Okay. And potential is true.
She's going to finish her story.
Yeah,
Vader is the final boss.
Vader is the final boss. That's true. Although, wouldn't you think it'd be a little bit of a wasted opportunity not to have Ahsoka and her together again one more time?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think Barriss, for this story that Ahsoka is telling right now, I don't think Barriss is really needed. She can be a lesson that Ahsoka takes with her throughout the rest of her life. She doesn't have to be, there. They don't have to have a conversation. It's the same with Obi-Wan and Cody. I've resigned myself to the fact that those two are probably never going to interact ever again. Would it be cool to see? Yeah, but it's not necessary to the story. It could be like a cautionary tale that Ahsoka takes with her for the rest of her life, a core memory that she takes with her into adulthood, but it's not necessary.
All right. All right, let's end there. Anything last to say about Tales of the Jedi at all? Or Tales of the Empire, I should say? Are we good to go?
No, we're good to go.
All right, then let's move on then to the meat and potatoes of the show. We are getting into the Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 12. We are running, we're rounding third and heading home at this point. Only got 3 episodes left after this week's episode, Juggernaut.
Believe it.
If you've been with us before, I know I'm sad. I'm very sad, actually. I just want more Star Wars animation. I'm glad that Tales of the Empire is coming out when it is, because it's like Bad Batch ends, and then like a couple days later we get Tales of the Empire, so it's not quite over. Then after that, we got to wait and see because we have nothing else officially announced from animation. So I mean,
I just feel for those psychopaths that are going to be doing the Skywalker saga and Tales of the Jedi all in one day.
Oof. Good for them. Good for them. Good for you. All right, but we are. I'm sad that we're ending, but I'm glad that they got. Like I said, I'm glad they got a chance to end the story their way, and they know they're doing it a proper ending, as it were. So if you haven't been here before, we usually take care of our little review and breakdown of the episode through segments instead of doing it like beat by beat. We think it's a good way to try to hit the highest highs and the lowest lows and talk about stuff through these segments. So let's get right into our segments. The first segment,
speaking of the lowest of lows,
the first segment we always dive into is hashtag Honda Watch 2024.
Who wants to see Honda? Talk to me.
Does Hondo Ohnaka finally make his grand return in this episode of the Bad Batch? We obviously haven't seen him since the last episode of Rebels. It's been a while now, boys and girls. Did we see him in this episode?
This effort is no longer profitable.
You have a prison break.
What's he going to say?
It's a prison break.
Fee actually mentions a contact.
Fee mentions a contact.
I would have taken a mention of Hondo at that point.
Do you know what would have been really cool?
What?
Just like when they break into the turbo tank and Hondo is just sitting in there.
He's one of the prisoners?
He's one of the prisoners, yeah. And he's like, hello, my friends.
Hello.
You want to spring your friend Hondo?
You are here to meet me, right?
It's just like the shot of Hondo running across the plane.
I know where Tentis is, of course. I've been there with my mother.
Hey, Tentis. I know it well.
So many places it could be.
It's not gonna happen. I know it's not.
I've kind of given up at it happening Bad Batch at this point. Because at this point, I kind of had this I was holding out the hope out like the cavalry coming that he'd be involved in that somehow potentially, but they would have had to introduce him by now, I think. I mean, there's a long shot that they could use somebody like last ditch effort of trying to do something, and Fee wants to reach out to a contact, but they have Fee, so why would they need another pirate list to make it?
Can I give you another one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think we're getting Boba Fett either.
You know what? We should talk about that in Force Vision, I guess. But I'm kind of tending to agree with you, which I'm actually surprised at. That
Okay,
I'm surprised
let's
at.
save it for the Force Vision, but I just had to get that out and kind
Yeah.
of see where you were with it.
I kind of feel that way too. I feel like we don't have a lot of time left to do it. Like that would be more of a.
It would be like it would be like John Cena running down to F5 Solo Sikoa.
There you go. All right, let's then move on to our next segment.
And Hondo would be the Undertaker showing up.
Let's be honest, the Hondo is probably more like one of the Usos showing up at this point, though. As much as I love this, I love Hondo. He's not going to want to stand up to the final boss.
Sure, he's not more like Hornswoggle, just popping up from under the ring.
That could be good too. Actually, honestly, you know what I compare him to? If we're going to talk about wrestlers, he's Santino Marella. I'm here for it. I love Santino. He's my favorite one of your wrestlers. Definitely in the way.
That's great.
All right, next segment. We're going to tell you off the rails. Mission briefing, folks.
What do you need, Rex?
Any chance I could use you for a mission?
This is where we used to go beat by beat in this, but we don't do that anymore. We want to talk about more of the overall arc of the story, some of the high points and low points. And this was actually a very short episode, like 22 minutes, 23 minutes. And there wasn't a whole lot of meat to it. I would say, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I feel like after last week's double feature of like heartbreak and depression and suicidal tendencies at the end, like, which is awful.
Very bad.
It was, yeah, I know. That's why I mentioned them. But it felt like they were down. They were both very much downers and very much hard to watch kind of episodes. This was a welcome respite to get just a good old fun adventure kind of thing. Even though the stakes are bigger, the stakes are real. We're obviously hitting the end game now, and we still have our moments of downness. We do get a little bit with Tantus, but for the majority of the episode, it's an old school A-team episode of the Bad Batch needing to get a little action in to get a piece of the puzzle to move on. So let's talk about. I think let's save the Tantus and Omega stuff to the end, even though it kind of had a beginning and end. Talk about just the Bad Batch stuff. Obviously, we open up on Pabu. Surprisingly enough, Hunter is not as mad about it as I thought he might be, but I
think he kind of gets it. I think he's like, yeah, that tracks for Omega. Like,
right.
It almost got to the point now where they're just like accepting it. They're just like, okay, Omega's gonna do Omega, I guess.
But what do we think of Crosshair? Not Crosshair keeping some things to himself, potentially.
I think that's kind of part of the course because his tremor is a mental reaction. It's not a physical thing at this point. You and I have spoken about this many times over the course of this series.
Right.
He doesn't want to go back to Tantus, and like at the mention of Tantus, like his hand tremor starts up again. He probably doesn't want to run back into Rampart, and it was like he even says Rampart's like a last ditch effort. Rampart is the last resort because. Does Rampart even know?
Right. I mean, I was happy that Hunter and Wrecker didn't give him too much shit about it because I felt like that was a trope they could have gone down. It's kind of like we don't.
Wrecker did a little bit. I was surprised it came from Wrecker. Wrecker wasn't a bit more understanding.
But it was a quick. It actually was better that it came from Wrecker because it could be quick because Wrecker's quick to turn back over. I will say I must give you your flowers. You did mention Rampart's return being on your bingo card.
Yeah, a Rampart prison break.
And Prison Break, that it's like almost like, did you have a screener and not tell me? I don't know, because all of a sudden there it was. I know you didn't.
Because I thought it would come early when they did their infiltration and extraction.
Yeah.
I thought it would be like a big Ocean's 11 style
two-parter. Right. So, but I will give you your flowers. You did predict it a little bit later on. I actually had at that point disagreed with you in terms of I just didn't think we were going to see Rampart again. But you were right. I was wrong, and we did, and I'm happy we did though. Even though he did get the hot callus treatment, change up his look a little bit.
You think?
I think so. I think it looks better now than it did when he's a.
He looks better, but he ain't hot callus level.
I'm just saying, like, you have Imperial look, and then you have the post-Imperial look. Different style, whatever. And
let's save that post-Imperial chat. Yeah.
Yeah, still a jackass. He's definitely not didn't turn out of the goodness of his heart. He's still a weasel, definitely a shit weasel at this point. But I think having him in there is a very cool idea, especially now that I've seen it. Like when I first thought about it, when you told me about it, it's kind of like, don't we need to go back to Rampart? I don't know if he really makes. I mean, not that it didn't make sense, but I kind of was like, I don't know if I need to see him. I don't know if I want to really see him. I think his part is done. We have the final boss in Hemlock instead of Rampart. We upped the game there. But after watching this episode, I think it's kind of a cool thing because it's nice having a enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of thing, and having a shit weasel that has like that you need something from. It's kind of
Vampire's Paul Heyman.
Yeah, there you go. The wise men. There you go. In fact, the dynamic between Crosshair and Rampart was actually some of the best of the episode, and some of the reasons why there was some moments that definitely stepped this up above the normal, just regular action-packed episode. Most of it was Crosshair and Rampart having those kind of interactions that they had. But yeah, we get the big prison break, obviously, and they do they use Fee, and they do the I guess Fee listening to Tom Petty as her stealth mission is all about, and I'm Fee falling, and that's her stealth.
Jesus Christ,
That's
fucking hell. Fee falling.
That's her. That's her maneuver. That's her stealth entry.
I'm Fee falling.
Be falling past the ships until they get to the planet of Erebus, so the Imperial Base there.
Very good.
So it's a fun. It was kind of weird in a way that it seemed to invoke memories of the bad mission at the end of the last season. There's definitely some moments we kind of go, but it wasn't the same. Obviously, we didn't take our time with that or whatever. But I was glad to see Fee being there and help them out. It was good to see the Bad Batch doing what they do best. They take care of business. They get Rampart out. They destroy they do a lot of damage, as Wrecker's happy to do. Happy to face the tank, as always, as Wrecker. And so they get out with Rampart. And Rampart is the key, even though he doesn't know the coordinates for Tantus.
You don't know shit.
But he states that he has a way to potentially do it. Now, I was intrigued by with what he said. I don't know if it's actually all bullshit or just some more intriguing notions. Like I'm kind of like I was going through my mind going, what does that mean necessarily? Like, and my part is like, are they on a planet that moves? Is that where it is? Like, there's nobody has the coordinates because the planet moves, like kind of thing. So, like, maybe it's like a beacon that you have to find or something like that, a special beacon hidden. I don't know. Or can he track? I heard a rumor potentially that somebody threw it out there. I don't know how much I believe in it, but like maybe he has access to Scorch because Scorch is a different kind of clone, and maybe he has some kind of tracker in Scorch. Or something to that effect. Maybe he has a tracker. Maybe he put some trackers on people. Who knows exactly what's going on at this point? But it seems like we're going to have to figure out something. And Rampart it's not as easy as Rampart going here. This is Tantus. So I have to see.
I'm going to put this here because this isn't part of my Force vision.
Okay.
Do they have to go back to Coruscant and break into Rampart's office?
His old office, potentially. I could totally see that.
Because that also brings it full circle to the Clone Wars and going back to Coruscant.
Absolutely. You know what I want to throw out there? I'm going to throw out there. You bring up Coruscant. Where the hell is Cody? Where is Cody?
Maybe Cody's the way they find it. Maybe
he's the cavalry. He becomes part of the cavalry. I gotta admit, like as much as I love Bad Batch. It's been my favorite Star Wars thing this year, and really, Star Wars animation in general is awesome. But I feel like we definitely, at least so far, have missed an opportunity with Cody because we had that great moment when Cody went MIA. And we haven't seen him since. Is he in Tantus? Maybe that's why. Maybe they're. I mean, I should let this thing cook. We have 3 episodes left. I kind of felt like we were supposed to see him before this. If he's going to come back, if he just shows up in the cavalry, it kind of feels like it's. I don't know. I don't want to.
Just portal scene moment.
Yeah. But maybe it will be a case of maybe that's one of the people that they break out of Tantus.
Rex is there, and suddenly we just hear on your left, and it's Cody.
That'd be great. That'd also be awesome. So yeah, but okay. So Rampart, we don't know what we're doing at this point, but the action bits were fun. The action was fine. It was a lot of typical Star Wars action. A lot of actually reminded me a little bit of the Andor heist. A little bit of that going on as well. So there's lots of love. But then of course the juxtaposition is the short amount of time we spent with Omega on Tantus. being turned over to Dr. Hemlock, and Emery Carr, who is still leaning more and more towards I can't do it, but I need to help somehow. We're still not sure how it's going to go down for that. I think it was a good idea that they spent just a little bit of time there, because again, I think this episode was needed to be a respite from last week. So any more time you spend in Tantus is going to be just more of that kind of feeling.
More depressing. And
but we do get a good enough to keep that kind of feeling going. Like this is still big stakes. We get a little bit more about the M count talk from Hemlock. And we know that it's definitely about you can't replicate. That's why Palpatine can't just clone his body, because the M count doesn't happen there. Which actually is funny. You say it's funny that he brought that up, because I think I've mentioned it on this show before. I got a lot of shit for I had a clone theory back in the day that Sidious and Palpatine were different, and that was going to become kind of big reveal. And the idea was that Sidious cloned himself to make Palpatine, so that Palpatine could be like his face and voice in the Senate. He could go in front of Yoda and Mace Windu, and they wouldn't sense the Force, because you couldn't. My theory was you couldn't clone the Force. And that's why they never.
I will return the flowers. And yeah, you were right.
Similar to the degree, because my was like, if they're gonna clone if they could clone the Force, why didn't he just clone fucking Darth Maul and like all these warriors that acolytes or something, whatever back then. But either way, I will. So we get a little more about that, and obviously we tested her blood again, and it is significant, and she is a vital part of the plan.
She's the petri dish to put everything into.
And we get Omega being brought to the vault, and her desperation grows more and more. She came in with such, like, it was on her own volition, but you can see kind of like the helplessness of being back there really kind of hit home. And she's just going to have to stay strong until her brothers can come get her at this point. But so yeah, that was the main crux of the episode. Anything else that I'm missing that you wanted to touch base on as far as overall?
No, really. I think it really was just like an old school action-packed crash bang wallop.
With just enough pieces of information to
keep the story going. Right. I think we're getting a little bit more, because we're essentially we're in the end game now. To bring back the Avengers reference, we are in the end game now. So we got 3 weeks left. It's just going to be all action all the time, and I'm here for it.
Fingers are crossed right now. We have an hour or a double-sized finale, as I'm hoping for. Yeah. All right, let's move on then through our segments. Our first segment after mission briefing is The Bachelor.
I was hoping for the whole squad, but you'll do.
And this is our favorite character of the week, no matter who it is. It doesn't have to be a member of the batch, but it can be. I'll go first. For me, I think this episode it's got to be Crosshair. It was Crosshair. We had a lot of time with Crosshair in between the action bits. We had the moments where Crosshair has the shaky hand again, where he was clean about having a possible way of getting to Tantus. And why didn't he do it? Why didn't he tell the boys before? Because he doesn't want to go back to Tantus.
Yeah, he's scared.
He's traumatized. He's scared. He gets to open up to his brothers that way. And I think that's why Hunter and Wrecker didn't give him too much shit, because I think they understand that he doesn't want to go back. And he's still kind of not redeeming himself. He's still kind of working himself to be the character at his best. He's still got some dark history, and he has to make his way through. But you also have the great moments with Rampart. Great humanizing moments for him, and kind of stepping out of the shadow of the Empire for him. Every step he makes is just a little bit further and a little bit further on. And he does very well at his job this time through, overall. Crosshair loves Omega, and it's good to see that despite the fact he doesn't want to go back to Tantus, he will for her if he can. That says something about where he is now, considering where he was, say, at the end of season 1, where he just actively did not like Omega and didn't want anything to do with it. Now, he's willing to face his traumatized past and go get his little sister, or big sister, I should say. What about you? Who's your favorite character of the week?
Mine's Wrecker, because this was an all-out action, crash, bang, wallop, boom, plow episode, and he is the man of the hour for that, to the point where, like, everything that came out of his mouth was just 80s action one-liners, like where he says, and this isn't my quote of the week, but when he says, "Take out a turbo tank," now you're talking. I was like, that's just such a Arnie sly, like 80s one-liner, just like,
Oh yeah, it's old school Wrecker. Also, just old school Wrecker, which we haven't got a lot of recently because of the storyline being so serious. Now we got into the the end game. We're getting to the away from the adventures we had in the first like season or two. I agree. I like that.
I could see Jesse the Body Ventura playing live action Wrecker.
I ain't got time to bleed. Perfect. I love it. Yeah, so good selection there. All right, let's move on to our next segment, I Spec.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent. Now get out of here.
And I'll let you go first this time, my friend.
Mine was a fee quote.
Okay, all right.
It said, "Any friend of Brown Eyes is a friend of mine."
Hmm.
It shows that there was that deeper relationship with Tech that we never got to see. Fuck you, Filoni, for that. Oh my god. It just shows Tech's qualities of like, he knows when it's time to let someone follow their own path. And as we saw how he reacted when Echo left the team, like, and he may not have agreed with Crosshair, and he may not have liked his decision, he may not have liked his stances on things, but he respected Crosshair enough as a man to let him make that choice for himself and live with the mistakes and learn from even make the mistakes that Crosshair had to make to come back to the team to realize his place and his purpose. Tech trusted him enough as a man and as a brother to know that that would happen. And it's just a real shame that he's not there to see it actually happen.
Absolutely.
But the way when she said that, it was like almost like we know now that like Tech had those moments when he confided deeper in Thea, and that he may not have been able to do with his brothers, that she may have gotten out of him, which even says to my theory of he got the girl, like the shy neurodivergent dude who probably never spoken to a woman in his life other than on duty, got the pretty girl that he liked. And I'm just like, my man. And from bro to bro, my man.
Absolutely. That's a good choice. That's a great choice, I gotta say. For me, I am going to it's a very simple line. It's 2 words long. It is Omega's line to Dr. Emery. Am I?
When she talks about being safe.
Dr. Emery at Carr tells her she's safe there. And she put like Michelle Lang, chef's kiss on that line delivery. Just the way she does it. Am I? Because it told so many different stories. Am I really safe? It's a kid being scared of being, she's a kid who's scared of, like, is she really safe? But it's also a way to, I can't manipulate. It's not the right word, but manipulate Emery Carr a little bit, because I think she sees in Emery Carr, she keeps pushing for Emery Carr to do good. She's like, you don't have to do this. She knows about the doll. She knows that she's kind of like teetering. She knows that Nalase is there somewhere. MI is a great way to say, I see that you care about me, and I say that you care about the kids. I don't know if you need a push, but I don't know. You need to face the facts, and you need to confront this. Am I really safe here? Can you tell me that I'm safe here?
Well, here's the thing. She hasn't gone into the vault at that point.
Right.
So at the moment, it's like she's a scared child she's facing that final hurdle of like coming into not just womanhood, but like the person that she knows that she can become. And she's now having that moment of, did I make the right choice?
Yeah.
Did I put myself here when I shouldn't have done? Am I going to be safe, or did I really screw up, and do I need to find another way to get the hell out of here?
It's a wonderful way that it could mean different things and mean everything at the same time. But just the way she delivered it was just spot on. It made you concerned for her, made you want to smack her upside the head, Emery upside the head a little bit. Come on. Yeah, but it definitely made an impact on me. I really enjoyed that line. So, all right, let's move on to put that in your holocron and snoke it. Explore more lore. Let's see how we got that.
Do you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
This is where we take a look at our episode and see if there's anything we want to explore further, maybe in a later episode, later book, later comic. I don't know, anything like that. Maddie, I'll let you go first on this one.
I'm going to borrow from Force Center a little bit here.
Okay.
What do I want to see in a product coming
That's
forward?
fair. Okay.
It's not an action figure. It's a visual guide.
Okay.
I want a book of text schematics for every single plan. All the Bad Batch plans, just like with detailed visualization. Maybe it's just like tech scribbling on, like, okay, this is what you do. Da 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 da. You remember, like, you have like the old Sith Code and the Bounty Hunters Handbook books that came out years ago.
Right.
Have one of those, or like a proper visual. Knowing tech, it would be like a proper like visual dictionary of all 99 plans. And then you get to plan 99 and it's just a picture of tech falling.
You're a bad man. You are a bad friend.
I believe I said that. I had to.
That is a bad fan there. But I like it. I like that idea. I'd love to see the different plans. It's like, it actually kind of, in a humorous way, reminds me of Wedding Crashers. Like, rule number 33, never treasure always wearing a funny jacket.
That's exactly what that is.
You make up things like the plan. As we go along.
Wrecker's been spawned.
Wrecker's been spawned. Right. I guess it means Crosshair is going to have to be Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Wow. No, I would love to see that too. You know, that's a good lore. Let's see all these plans. Let's see all these plans in place at this point. And we know a few.
Which plans have we seen? 55.
I don't even know.
99.
I think it was an 84, I want to say.
It was 80 something. We've only seen a few plans.
Only seen a few of them, so we have a lot more to go. So, all right. We don't actually. I don't even know necessarily what the plan was. It was kind of like plan 5. Okay, let's do it. They just did it. I don't know. But
it was we'll get to it.
I will get to it here. The action thing. All right, bro. For my exploring more lore is for me, it's Rampart. I kind of want to know. But it's more of a future thing, not a Force Vision, it's a prediction thing. But I'd love to see if Rampart survives this. What does Rampart do afterwards on his own? Does he become like? Does he rebel? Join the rebellion because he has no other place to go? Like he's an outlaw? Does he just start becoming an outlaw? Like someone who was so following orders and so crisp and clear on like the law and justice, not justice, but the law as it is. Does he become an outlaw himself? I think it's a very interesting. Worthy of a comic book.
That's going to be part of my Force Vision, so I will respectfully hold off.
Fine. Okay. All right, that's okay. Yeah, let's move on then. That's just. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I think it'd be interesting to see. All right, next up, Cena.
Hear a lot of carbon scoring here. Looks like you boys have seen a lot of action.
Seen a lot of action. Your favorite action bits. I'll let you go ahead for this one. Go ahead.
He did it. He made the shot. The crosshair shot. That was plan 55. The open the door, doom, 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 doom.
Right.
The bolt off of. That was the Clone Wars shot, just without the puck.
Right.
And then this oh my god, this should have been my quote. This should have been my ice spec. Crosshair, the callback to the Clone Wars. When you see like Rampart says his CT number, and Crosshair goes, "You remembered me. How touching." Whereas you go back to the Clone Wars episode, he makes that same shot, and he goes, "You missed me. How touching."
Right? Yeah, I remember that.
I was just like, I wasn't expecting the shot to come in that moment. I thought that would be like his big Hail Mary, like. That would be like his hand starts working. Tantis, he uses the shot to shoot Hemlock through the laser gates or something, and you see the shot bound through the laser gates and hit Hemlock in the back of the head or something. But
right,
I was just like, yeah, Yeah, that was
Nice.
the one. And I'll also give a little honorary mention to the Dukes of Hazzard jump. I could almost hear the.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was the one from the trailer we saw originally, but I still love it. They throw Rampart's like lifeless body like on the fee ship, and Wrecker being scared to jump. I'm like, hey, move a little bit closer. You gotta jump now. And he makes the jump and like just throws back. It's like call that back of Fear Heights and stuff. It was a classic Bad Batch maneuver, classic Bad Batch escape. Fee coming in hard with the firepower to save them and everything else to fly off. There's a lot of great action. The whole episode was great moments. I love that as well. The Dukes of Hazzard thing. I love the bit right before the Plan 55. Just when Wrecker had to like think about it for a bit before he goes into. Oh yeah, I got that one. That's right. Oh yeah. The great part about that was the pause. Like he like literally like
He's
five.
like,
He's like, oh yeah, I got that kind of thing. Fee falling, another great action moment, obviously.
the fee fall, is that we got the tech turn and now the fee fall?
The fee fall. I thought we were gonna clip out this week.
Oh no, they're definitely the fee fall, and it's definitely the clip out this week.
All right, then let's move on to our next segment.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.
The most comedic moment of the week, and thank God we had a few of those this week after last week when we had to scrounge down deep to find them. I'm going to go with mine at first, if you don't mind. My favorite comedic moment of this episode, it was a Wrecker moment. They're just getting into the tank, and they climb in the tank, and the driver says, "Go out there. Some of the sensors are out. Check it out." He goes out there, they all get taken out. The door opens. Wrecker walks into the pilot. Pilot's like, "Anything out there?" Yep.
He just sucks him in the mouth.
Yep. And it throws him out. All clear. I love Wrecker, and you know what? I gotta say, Wrecker is probably going to be the least developed character at the end of the day. Least developed Bad Batch as a word. You had obviously Tech had a lot of development. Crosshair.
I think you need to develop Wrecker that much.
Hunter, no, you don't. He's the comic relief. So I guess why people have a hard time with saying he's your favorite character because he doesn't have a lot of depth to his character. He has a little bit. Not saying they short.
Tell how to kidnaps up.
He had the food. He has the food bits. He does have his food, his stuff with Omega, which has been great. But he's been, especially this last season, he's basically been relegated to a little bit of action, a little bit of comic relief, and not much with him. But I'm glad we get some classic greatest hits Wrecker moments here at the end like that. Hope we get a few more before we go out in a blaze of glory, so to speak. Yeah, that's my favorite comedic moment of the week. How about you, my friend?
My comedic moment is your action moment. I had to pause the episode for how hard I was laughing at Lampart's limp body just flailing in the air, landing on the ramp, and then just starting to slip down. I had to pause the episode from how hard I was laughing at that, because it was literally like, imagine if that had been live action.
Right.
That would have just been they wrapped up a bunch of pillows in an outfit, shot it so you don't see the face, and then just throw it.
That would have been the dummy. That's what it would have been.
It would have been like a crash test dummy that they've just gone whoop.
That's what it felt like. It looked like that too. Not far off. So I agree. That was a very, very funny moment as well.
Dude, that was one of the funniest moments of the entire show for me. Like the whole series.
I love it.
Laughing so hard at that.
All right. Next up, parsecs.
It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Less than 12, it's 11. Because we always rank things from a scale from 1 to 11. Because we always turned up to 11 here on PLD Projects. This is our rating of the episode this week. Maddie, what do you rate this up?
This is a 10. This episode was awesome. It had that little bit of darkness. It had that little bit of disparity that we've come to expect from this season. But we get all the action that we absolutely love, even to the point where I love what the Kinders are doing with the theme. In Bad Batch theme in this episode. Like, we're getting little bits of it. We're not getting the entire theme. We're just getting like little motifs of it. I don't think we're going to hear the whole thing until the cavalry arrives. And personally, I'm starting to think the Bad Batch might be the cavalry.
Oh, baby. Interesting idea there. Yeah, I do like what Kiner's doing. They're the Kiners, I should say. The Kiners are doing wonderful work.
I mean, we're just getting like little parts of it. We heard it a little bit with Asajj when Crosshair threw the gun. We didn't get the whole thing. We didn't get that We're getting the little drip feeding of it, and I think that moment hits when they burst into Tantis, and we get the
yeah, it's gonna be a big moment for sure. I have to agree with you. Although I want to say, did you see? There's a little bit of Fourth Division, I guess, but did you see their Disney Plus or put out a clip of the last of not I don't know, it was next episode or basically something from the future. It was like a 30-second snippet of stuff, including actually some of this episode, I think, in a way too. So there's one moment which I'm looking forward to now. It has like Hunter's flying some ship. I don't know what it is, and it has like a storm. It says a stormtrooper. I don't know if somebody discussed. He says something like abort the mission, and Hunter just has his theme behind him. Just goes negative. It's like, oh hell yeah, I got tingled. It actually reminded me. I don't know if did you watch Battlestar Galactica?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a moment in there where, like season 2, where Dama, the big guy there, gets into this battle with his this other admiral. They just kind of work to the humans, and she's gonna like execute some of his men for this. It's a long story short, but like it gets to the point where like they were supposed to get a trial and they didn't get a real trial. He gets pissed. He just comes over and starts going. Like he starts launch attack Vipers, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm getting."
You guys, Leroy Jenkins. He just goes,
"Getting my men." She's like, "You better think about what you're doing, blah, blah. This is traitor. You call it what you will. I'm getting my men back." And it's like, yeah, this one kind of moment. That's what it kind of reminded me of. So I can't wait to see where that comes in.
That kind of lends also to my theory that they ain't making it out alive.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm starting to wonder. I'm starting to wonder myself, to be honest.
Could be a suicide run.
All right, we got one topic left. Fourth Vision, we call it.
Premonitions.
This is where we speculate responsibly or irresponsibly at times. We try to be responsible, but take a look and see what's going to happen in the future. It could be in this episode, next episode. It could be somewhere later on in canon or whatever, some kind of production. But I have an interesting idea I want to put forth.
Mm-hmm.
We need a way to get to Tantis.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have coordinates for Tantis.
Mm-hmm.
But what do we have? We have a Class 1 bounty hunter in our back pocket that we saw earlier. Not Cad Bane. Who else is a bounty hunter that we know of?
Boba? No, he's not Class 1 at this point.
That we've seen in our... She's a bounty hunter.
She's not Class 1. She's not Class 1, though.
Asajj Ventress could be.
No.
She could be.
You think?
I think she could be. I think that she got very high at the end there. She locked Boba up and she took care of business. Who knows? Who knows what she did? We don't know how high up she got.
I would think with this happening after
Dark Disciple.
After Dark Disciple, and this after that happening after the Clone Wars, if her face showed up on the Imperial database, they'd be like, go kill her and make sure she's dead this time.
She was being a bounty hunter, though, but even as far as the last trial of Ahsoka thing, she had like the face mask and everything else. She's doing bounty hunting. By then, we could have a Class 1 bounty hunter in our back pocket.
Maybe she's going under an alias, maybe?
We don't know. And so maybe the Bad Batch decide to finally get contact with her, and she brings somebody to Tantis, and that's how they figure out the coordinates of Tantis. Maybe, I don't know, something to that effect, or they have somebody that they're going to do. Either way, in the hijack the ship. I don't know. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they decide to bring Asajj back in for the end game there.
Okay.
For that.
Okay.
So
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm not necessarily going to run with it, but I'm picking up the ball.
That's fine. All right. Let's the ball's in your court. What about you, my friend?
See, now I'm thinking about Asajj.
No, I will say real quick that like if we don't see her again, if that's all we got, I think it's actually okay. I have no problem with that being like the.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. Yeah,
but just thought.
I think I'm gonna stick with mine.
Okay.
Rampart is setting them up.
Okay.
Right, this is Rampart is he's not gonna be the Callus of Bad Batch. He's gonna turn on them for damn sure. He's the type of snake that will want back his position in the Empire even after what they did to him. He is that kind of a person that he's like, if he can get back in, he will take it, because the bounty that is on the Bad Batch is higher than anything that he could get from working with them and working with he doesn't have that moral compass that Callus had. Callus had at least had honor, and he had respect for the people that he would capture.
Absolutely.
Rampart doesn't give a shit. Rampart is, to pull it back to actual history, he is Wilhelm Frick, he was Hitler's interior minister of the Third Reich. He was the man who, and this is the direct parallel I put between them. Frick was the man who was responsible for drafting the laws that were responsible for the genocide on the Jewish people. Like, he was the one that crafted the laws for that. Rampart did that for the clones. He essentially signed the death warrant for all of the clones. He brought that legislation in, like Frick did for Hitler and the Third Reich.
Right.
But that's why I draw those parallels, because Frick was eventually tried and executed. So I'm thinking that Rampart is going to lead them to Tantis, but with the intention of being like, look what I have brought you, Hemlock. Let me get back in. Because I don't think we're going to see Sid at this point. So you need that someone to be it's the Scarface quote, to point the finger and say, that's the bad guy.
Right. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. That'd be interesting to do. And it's something that we haven't seen with Star Wars as far as that goes. Like we said, I mean, I likened him to Callus before, mainly more because of the looks, but it is a case of Imperial. All of a sudden, we use him later on as part of on our side. Now, I know he's not on our side. He's not going out there going, I'm joining the Bad Batch and joining Rebellion now at this point. But it would be interesting if we go beyond that and go forward. He's actually working against them still. As a way, maybe that's what he wants to do. He was like, I can buy my way back into the Imperial. Maybe I lost my spot in the Imperialness, but if I can buy my way back. If they find out about this, or like I give them Bad Batch and like make sure they don't like ever get Omega, no, I'm buying my way back into the system. They'll exonerate me. I'll get my thing back. Everything is working out possibly for him, and that'd be a very interesting way and a very possible, very dramatic way to go about it. I like saying there, so it's a very intriguing idea. Good.
I just had a light bulb moment as well.
Okay.
Tarkin can't control Hemlock, but he can control Rampart. So Tarkin would be more likely to bring Rampart back into the fold because he knows he would have a vice grip on him.
Correct. I mean, yeah. I don't think I want to say that I don't think that was like necessarily the plans. Like, I'm not going to have Tarkin didn't like set this up with Rampart. Oh, they're going to Bad Batch to come get you, but
it's a piece on the chessboard that he can be like, okay, I can't control Hemlock. I don't know what he's doing. I have no visibility with this. But this guy I can control.
Being opportunistic as he would be. That's a phenomenal idea. I like that idea a lot, man. Good job. Good work on that. All right. Is there anything else that we should go over? Any last minute thoughts?
No, mate. I'm all good. I'm good to go.
All right. I think that should probably do it for us then. If you, like I said before, we had that subscribe. We already gave you that nonsense in the beginning, but it's not nonsense. It really does help us out. You leave comments for us. It really does help our ratings.
Especially that notification bell. Hit that notification bell. That's a big one.
And make sure you follow Holy Snokes on the audio side. If you're listening on the audio side, find the Holy Snokes feed, because eventually Holy Snokes will move there entirely. I'm still putting it on the PLD Projects feed until I'm caught up, but I'm getting very close to being caught up. I only have about 5 or 6 episodes left on a daily basis or so to get there. So next week's episode, might just be on the Holy Snokes audio feed. We'll have to see how it goes. I will definitely announce it. I'll let you know beforehand, so you won't be in the dark. But yeah, if you want to help out the show even more, patreon.com/PLD Projects. Austin Cadell, Brandon Buckingham, Jeff Altman, a whole bunch of crew. Couldn't do this without you guys. I really appreciate you guys so much. I'm going to do some extra content soon for that. Now we did, again, the scheduling thing has been really screwed up in my life at this point. My wife's surgery and everything else going on. We're working on it. We're getting there. We'll do some stuff soon, I promise. Yeah, it's great stuff though. I think that is it. Maddie, where can the folks find you? I know you want
You
to
can find me there on all the socials. Tomorrow on my YouTube channel that I have set up solely for this because I lost access to the old one where we used to do it. The ONU MMA show. We are back for a one night only special, baby. We got the band back together for one night only to preview the biggest combat sports card of all time. UFC 300 headlined by double champ Alex Pereira, Poatan, Hands of Stone himself against Jamal Hill. It's the bad motherfucker. The BMF title is on the line. Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway, two of the guys who I have the utmost respect for. It's a wild card. We're gonna be breaking that down. And next Wednesday, brand new Morna song, Out to Get You, is going to be coming out. The pre-save is now. Head to morna.co or go on any of my social media. The link is in the bio. You can pre-save it now. So ONU MMA show back tomorrow for one night only. And Morna Out to Get You is out next week.
Excellent. You can find me at Paul_News on Twitter. And you can also find me all over this channel, of course. Obviously, this week I mentioned before, bad timing. We should have a a Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film with PJ Campbell, where we go over Never Hike Alone 2 from Momstom Films video, finishing out our Friday the 13th watch through. That should hopefully be next Tuesday. Review will come back on next Thursday. We're hitting the final episode of the weekly televised series from 1985, me and Lego. And of course, we do Crown Jewels every week. That's still going into my sister YouTube channel on the same audio feed, though. This week we are doing a bicycle race. Very interesting, fun. Exactly. So a lot of fun there. But yeah, next week we'll be back to cover more Bad Batch. I believe it's a one-parter the rest of the way. I believe. 313. We'll see where that takes us. But until next time, as always, folks, may the Force be with you. Always.